Hey, welcome to Restoring Christine. Bill here, Christine. Interior is 98% done. We got that done this weekend, and as soon as I finish that, I turn my attention now. I'm ready to try to get her running. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some work underneath the hood and get things on the motor tightened up so that I can bring it to the exhaust shop so that I can fire Christine up next weekend. That's the plan. So let me show you where we're at. So after 4 years, this is where we're at with Christine. She's pretty close. She's really, really close. Interior, just got it finished. Carpet, seats. This is all a Ciadella interior headliner. Put the garnish molding in yesterday, and boy, the seats are comfortable. So it's a real pretty view. All looks good. But the next thing we need to do is we need to get underneath the hood now and finish buttoning up some loose ends, because I don't want to bring it to the muffler shop. She can't be running before I bring it to the muffler shop because they have shorty headers. I have Sanderson headers and they're block huggers. So I can't start Christine until I put an exhaust system on, and I'll show you why. I have block hugger headers. These are shorties from Sanderson. I've got a video on those. But you can see where the collector is. The collector is right there against the block pointing that way. So I definitely do not want flame shooting out on all my front end linkages and also against the oil pan. So this is why I need to do this. But I've also been very hesitant to put in all my dress up stuff on Christine. So I had a moving blanket covering the motor for a long time. I don't yet have my battery in. I had my battery in temporarily. I'm going to put that in soon. But today what I need to do is I need to make sure I need to set the timing, set the distributor, get all that down, put the plugs in, hook up the hoses, hook up the fuel line, put everything that's missing back on. So that's my goal for today. That's what we're gonna do. So if you're interested in watching this, here we go. Let's go ahead and make sure we got the motor top dead center before we do anything. Look, there it goes. All right, so this is the exhaust valve opening up on number one. I want to get this all the way around. I need to come around twice. So as I start coming around the top dead center, I want to point something out. My timing tab, that's the 0 right there, right at the tip of my finger. So it's the third triangle. It's the third point right there. So that little dot, you'll notice these dots. I have a 30-degree mark, a 35-degree mark, and a 40-degree mark. Watch when it comes around. So as I pull it, you'll see. All right, see the 4 dots are starting to show up? All right, and then the 1 dot and then 3 dots. So what I did is I measured my harmonic balancer, and I marked out 30 degrees, 40 degrees, and put a dot in between. So what I'm looking for is when I go and check my timing with the timing light, I'm looking for 36 degrees all in with these traditional heads. Vortex you can get by with 32 degrees top dead center of advance total. So I'm looking for 36, but here comes my top dead center 0 timing mark. I need to put that now right on the 0, and then we'll be able to have our initial timing where we want it when the distributor drops. All right, so now it's sitting there right at 0. So now I need to make sure that my distributor is where it needed to be. Now I need to make sure that my rotor is pointed in the right direction. So I want to watch this rotor as I pick it up, because the worm gear in the bottom is going to rotate this rotor. It's going to rotate the shaft. So let's pick it up and see how much we come back. So we're basically pointed back to this pin here. And if I pick it up, how much does it rotate? It rotates from here to there. So what I need to do is I need to spin it around to here when it's down. So when I pick it up, it's here. Probably means I need to bring it around to here. So we're going to go to where we're sitting at maybe 90 right there. Unfortunately, the oil pump is rotated, so I'm going to have to get down. I'm going to have to get the screwdriver in there and rotate the oil pump to line up. It took a couple of attempts, and I had to get a. I've got an oil pump primer, and I had to get up there and find the oil pump drive shaft and then rotate it to where this was going to drop in. But now it's all dropped in. Here's my number one that I want, and when I set this on here, there's the number one right there. It's pointed about this way, and that's about where this is pointed. It's pointed the same way, and my distributor is right in the middle. It's right in the middle here, so I've got the same amount of clearance to the firewall as I do to the manifold. So I ought to be able to advance or retard it. I ought to be able to advance it or retard it, depending on what I need. But I'll be pretty close right there. I think I'll be very, very, very close. So that's done. I'm gonna go ahead and put the plugs in. So I'm using AC Delco R45s, and these are TS because it's those are HO305 heads on this little 307. And I'm gonna gap them at. I'm gonna make sure they're gapped at like 40 thousandths, and that's where I'm at here. So just right out of the box, it's right there. So I'm gonna make sure all 8 plugs are gapped at 40 thousandths, and that's what I'm gonna start with. All right, so I'm making some progress here. I had to install my throttle linkage from my throttle pedal. All that linkage wasn't installed yet, so I had to put that in. And if you've really been watching and paying attention, you might notice that that coil is in a different spot. That coil was vertical, and I had a hole drilled where that hole is right there. I had a bolt through it. I had a little, like a sheet metal bolt going through it. And I've since tapped it bigger for I'm going to use that for my gauges to come through, my temperature wire, my temperature probe, and the sending unit, and then the oil pressure, the mechanical line. That's all going to come through there. But when I move my coil, you'll see all the wires are all dangled and everywhere. And I never did have the Pertronix coil wires, the Pertronix distributor wires hooked up. But I did have all my American Auto Wire wires hooked up to the coil loosely. Well, I disconnected them all, and I said to myself, okay, the pink and the yellow go to the top terminal, and then the white goes to the bottom terminal, without realizing that when I put it on, I twisted it, and I didn't really note which was the positive and which was the negative. So I wasn't sure about which ones to connect it to, so this is where it gets interesting. So I don't know if any of you have have experimented or explored with artificial intelligence, but ChatGPT. I said, you know what? I'm going to get lost here in all my diagrams and whatever. So I spent some time trying to figure it out. Instead, I went to ChatGPT and I just asked it this question. On a vintage Gen 1 small block Chevy, I have a new electronic Pertronix distributor with a red and a black wire. My American Auto Wire Classic upgrade wiring harness has a yellow starter solenoid wire, a pink ignition coil wire, and a white tack wire. All 5 are supposed to go to the ignition coil. Which wires connect to which terminal? And like that, it came right back and said, got it. You've got a Pertronix electronic distributor, 2-wire, red and black, and a new American Auto Wire harness with coil-related leads. Here's how they map out in a Gen 1 small block Chevy when using a Pertronix ignition instead of points. Pertronix wire meetings. Red equals ignition power, needs a full 12 volts when the key is in run and start. Black is a trigger output, connects to the coil negative. The American Auto Wire harness coil related wires. The pink is the ignition coil, 12 volt feed from ignition switch and run. The yellow is a starter solenoid, 12 volt from the starter R terminal during crank to bypass the ballast. And the white is the tachometer, sense lead. And then it goes on and on and on, and it tells me where to hook up every one of these wires, why they are, what they are, where they go. It's just insane. So instead of me spending 30 or 45 minutes fumbling through my manuals and maybe getting it wrong, instead I spent about 30 minutes on ChatGPT. It wasn't that long, but I had to try to figure out how to do the split screen so I could record myself and read that to you. That's more information that you ever wanted to know. You remember that Styx song that said, "Don't look now, but here comes the 80s." Well, that was 45 years ago. Don't look now, here comes artificial intelligence. Skynet is watching us. It's watching you. Let's get back to work. So how about some fun stuff? Gauges. So I have a 3 gauge cluster that goes here right in the center. And it was always oil, volts, and then temperature off to the right, and that's the way I had it here before. If you've seen my closing credits, that's me rolling down highway down the interstate I-10, and then turned the I was videoing what was ahead of me, and then I turned down and I looked at the gauges, and I saw that everything was right in the world. All my gauges were reading really healthy. So I'm going to go ahead and mount my gauges in that order. I'm going to put the oil, the volts in the middle, and then the temperature to the far right, and I'm going to go ahead and mount this up here, and then I need to pull a new copper wire through the firewall, and I need to pull the water temperature sending unit through the firewall. Alright, the good news is, since the gauge is going right back where it was before, the screw holes are already there. So all I need to do is just get it screwed up tight, and then I can mount the gauges. This is the fun part. All the detail. Alright, got the bracket up. Now I need to put the gauges in. Got the chrome bezels are popping off. I need to bend the tabs, bend the little pieces parts. You bend the ends and then they snap on. These keep coming off. Volts in the middle, oil pressure to the far right. No, oil pressure to the far left. Here, yeah. I want it just like I had it. And if it really made a difference, I would already remember, but I don't remember. I just want Christine to be as familiar as possible. It's been so long since I've driven her. It's probably been, it is 8 years, maybe 9, since I've driven her. Poor thing. She deserves so much better than that. Alright, oil, volts, and water. Boy, this light is just a pain in the foot. Alright, oil, volts, and water. I need to snap my chrome bezels on, get the retainers screwed to the back. Let me get that done. There they are. Looks really good. Watch what it looks like from my vantage point. So now I need to get a ground and an ignition feed to the voltmeter. I need to run the copper tube for the oil pressure gauge to the sending unit, which is right behind the distributor, and then the water sending unit needs to go out there and screw into the head. I ran the sending unit through the firewall. I'm gonna tidy that up, but I got the copper line run inside, and it's just run loose right now. But what I did is underneath the hood, you can see how tidy this is. This is the completed end. So over here, I've got the coming through a ferrule. So I put a little bushing, a little grommet right around there, and I'm going to run the temperature gauge. The sensor is going to go to the passenger side head, and I put a loop in the oil tube, so because it's so short between where my connection is to the firewall and the motor. If the motor flexes, and it shouldn't, but if it flexes a little bit, I wanted to give that a little bit more than just a straight run, so I made that with that little bit of a loop. But this side is completed, so now I can get on the inside and finish that. Now the gauges are done. They're all nice and tidy. Everything is picked up. Got everything hooked up. Everything's tight. Got all my wires done. The only thing left on the interior of the car, believe it or not, is the ashtray. I think. Pretty sure that's all I got left. So let's get back to this lower radiator hose. I got me some new hose clamps. I treated myself. Treated to Christine, but this is just basically a 90-degree hose. And I've cut it to length, and I think it's close. I need to lube it up with some WD to make sure it goes on without fighting me. And I know it's snug, but we're gonna go with that. Hopefully I'll be able to get it. Camera's in my way, I'm sorry. Well, if you recognize my leg, you can see how I had to get in here to get it. That brand new hose, it was hard. But I got it on that. I'm teasing, but yeah, I had to climb up on it to get it. But there it is. It's not quite a 90-degree bend. So I think they're at different angles, but that's gonna work, I'm pretty sure. So I got it out of the way of the belt, and now I need to pull those clamps on, tighten them up. Oh, that looks good. That looks really good. It clamped very nicely onto there. You can see I'm over the bulb, so that's fitting really well. And it tucks around, it comes and skirts around this belt. That's a belt I didn't have before, so my old hose kind of went more, it shortcut that, so that's much better. Let's get the top hose now. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This was so snug up against my shroud radiator outlet that I have to cut some relief in this, and it'll make it much easier for me to do. In fact, you can see, look at it scuffing. It'll make it so much easier for me to do my the hose clamp. I'll have to do it from inside of here, which is not gonna be a bad plan, you know, but that'll help. But I need to go ahead and cut out a window so that this will be able to go around it. And my shroud was already bottomed out at the top, so there was no way of doing this without cutting that relief. My previous radiator, this is a cold case radiator. My previous radiator was a factory radiator, so this is a bit of a new setup. The inlet and the outlet are in different positions. I do know that this radiator, the top of its inlet is lower, which keeps the whole radiator higher. So I'm pretty sure that's what's going on at the bottom, and that's why that nipple is too high. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get this cut, and then go ahead and put it all back together. Oh yeah, that's perfect. I'm so glad I cut that relief. So glad I did. All right, let me slip this back, and then I'll bring the fan in. It's easier to tighten the fan with the shroud out of the way. So I'll do that, and then we'll put the top hose on. So it's a 2-inch spacer. I was smart and I went ahead and pounded it in place because it's got a friction fitting on the front, on the nose, and I got my 4 bolts that are going to go in there. Shroud is on. Hose is tight. Last one is a top hose here, and we'll lubricate it with some WD. It just makes everything so much simpler. I got it on and I tightened it, and I didn't like how I had like 2 inches of tailpiece sticking out on this side, so I cut it to where I would only have like 3/4 of an inch. That way it looks like it's the right size. It doesn't look like it's overgrown. And I'm going to pay close attention to make sure that this thing closes with the top as centered as I can get it. That's much better. We'll do the same thing down there. Centered, snug, tight. Clamps are the right length. Hoses are just perfect. They're not kinking, top and bottom. All right. What's left? I got to get my water temperature gauge down there. I'm going to get that now. I bought another fitting. These are HO 305 heads, and there's a 3/8 inch pipe, NPT, National Pipe Thread, port about 6 inches from one edge of the head, and on the driver's side it's about 6 inches from the front, and if you flip it on the passenger side it's about 6 inches from the back. So the water sending unit, the temperature sending unit, has a, I forget what thread this is, but it's not a pipe thread. What you need though, you need an adapter. You need the adapter because this has a flange. So the adapter goes in the head, and then the probe, the sensor, goes into the adapter. So what I need to do is I need to get this adapter into the side of the head first, and then on the other side I still have it open. I've got a 3/8 inch pipe plug I need to put in there, and then we should be watertight. I bought a Summit plug wire cat set, brand new. This is universal, but it's got the 90-degree boots, and these are 8mm. So these wires are full length and need to have the spark plug end crimped onto them. And if you've ever done this, it's doable, but you really need the right tool. So these terminal ends, you have to have the right crimp tool for these. And if you saw my series on the American Auto Wire wire harness installation, I showed you a tool that I have from Pertronics that crimps all sorts of wires, and it's got a spark plug crimper. So I just need to look at the instructions and see which tip it tells me it recommends for this, and we'll go ahead and we'll start running these. So when I got to the bottom of the box, there's the tool that they give you. So I'm not quite sure how this device is going to work, but I'm pretty sure that this is probably you crimp this block, but it shows you what it is. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my Pertronics tool instead of the tool that comes in the box. But that's nice to know that they give you this. So I might have misspoken just a second ago. It's actually the distributor end that we're doing. So the old classic style distributor has, this is what goes into the distributor itself. So this will go in the boot. The boot will go on the plug wire. Plug wire will crimp right here. So we've got to get the plug wire shoved into this, get this crimped, and then you pull this back, and then this is what goes into the cap. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 1-843-6572. We're going to route them all, and we're going to put the wire looms on it, and then we're going to see how far we need to put them to get them at the distributor, what length, and then we're going to mark them and cut them and do them individually. Got all the plug wires pulled, and you can see the lengths. Like I got some that are short and some that are long. So we know that they should be, the longest should be from the front, and then the shortest to the back. So the 1 and the 2 are going to get the longest. Let's do that. So here are the 2 longest. Set those on the side. So in the wiring kit, they give you wire separators, but they're the clippy type. So I bought some that's got a little grid of like this. So I bought this set, and that's what I'm going to use. I just need to strategically place them individually so that it'll route them, because I'm not going to have, like, it's not going to look like everything's going to come and then everything peel off of a 3, 4, 3, 2, 1 kind of a thing. It's not going to exactly going to do that, but I just want to make sure that my wires are clear of these headers and everything else like that. So on the driver's side, I got them all. Got a 2 clip here, 3 clip there, and then I've got them going behind the valve covers. Now these aren't my regular valve covers. These are just temporary. I'm going to put on the good ones in a little bit, but I need to get these wires run first. So I've got the whole driver's side run, and then I've still got a 4 wire clip to put on the back. But I'm going to wait until I'm getting closer to knowing where everything is, and I can trace them out and start cutting them. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the passenger side. The coil wire is very long, so it's a good cable to start out with testing. So I did a little test cut on it, and I wanted to see how far back this would fold and how flexible this was, or how
how difficult or easy it might be to accidentally nick or cut the core wire. So they give you this tool, and this is meant to be put in a press, and then you can clamp the wire terminals with this. But I'm going to use my Protronics crimper, like I said. Now this has 3 different holes in it. One is, I believe, 7mm, 8mm, and 8.5mm. These are 8.5mm wires, but the 8.5mm hole was too tight. So I ended up having to pass a drill bit through it so I could actually put it in here and spin it. But this is a cutting template, and you're supposed to cut the wire off to length. Let me cut this electrode off, or cut the core wire. You're supposed to shove this in, and it comes to here, and then you take a razor blade, and it gives you the right depth right there, that if you put a razor blade in and you spin it, then you're supposed to be able to pull the sheathing off, the insulation, without cutting the core wire. What I didn't like about it is the core wire, when it came back, it only folded back so far, and I'd like to fold it back a little bit more than what it was, because it's pretty thick. So I'm going to cheat this forward about maybe 3/16 of an inch or so. Take the razor blade, and the razor blade goes all the way in until it seats against the plastic. I don't know if you can see that, and then you spin it. Pull it with my snips. Just kind of get in there and wedge it. There we go. So now we got a good cut. We got a good length. This folds over. That's a much better length. And then it crimps. So this is the part that goes into the distributor cap. You put this wire like this, so the wire will bump up against that. Bury that out, and you crimp this. So now these 2 ends that are facing up are going to end up having the face completely down. You want them to flip 180 degrees when you pinch. So this is not the right length right now. I'm just doing this on this end because, like I said, this is very long. It's very easy for me to use this as a test example, but that's how I'm going to end up cutting every one of these wires to length. I went around, I pulled all the wires, they're all pulled around the back, and right now just the tails are hanging wild. But I marked the length of the cord the way I want to cut them. So each one of these is already cut like this, but this is where I want the end of my core wire to be, right there. So the rest of it gets stripped back. The next thing I need to do, I'm going to cut them to length, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to index them and mark the indexing, because I don't want to take them off, put the terminal cap on, and have the terminal cap pointing this way and having to twist the wire. So what I need to do is I need to go ahead and get these cut to length, pull them on top one at a time, and mark and index the top. Then I'll be able to pull both halves of the wiring plug set off, get it out here, and then I'll be able to crimp those terminal ends, and then we'll be able to put them right back on. So I got my process together, and this is the driver's side. So I got them all in, all the plugs. I'm going to show you on the passenger side how I did this, but I got the learning curve out of the way and made sure, because I fumbled around a little bit, but I got the process down. So it's not that difficult if you take your time. So let me show you with the passenger side. So this is the passenger side, and as I cut these, I cut a little notch where it's indexed so that I know to fold this terminal over here, and that's the top, and the boot needs to go that way. But the first thing is to get these boots on. So it's silicone on silicone. It is not it's not easy to do if you don't have a silicone or a white lithium lubricant. So I have white lithium. I've already sprayed the inside of each one of the boots, and I'm going to also spray a little bit in the wire, and we're going to slip each one of these on. But if you do this, it's much easier. So getting it first into that little socket, and then you can bend the nose over a little bit, pull it, and it'll go all the way through.
Might need a little helping hand, a little fish to get that, but my hands are getting slippery too. There we go. So once you pull it through, you can see how difficult it is even with the lithium. So now I pulled it all the way through and pull it out of the way. Now what I'm going to do is I need to find that notch. You can see why I didn't rely on a Sharpie. In fact, the notch itself is hard to find. There it is. Right there. So what I'm going to do is I need to cheat a little bit with the terminal end. Get it on here. And that's probably too big to go into my jaw, the jaw of my Pertronix crimper. So I'm going to pinch these in a little bit, push the wire down, come in gently persuade this to go where we want it to go. And once I can get it started, that's really all it needs, just a little bit of a helping hand. Then I'm going to get in the vise, in the jaw, I should say. And this is going to want to fold around. It's not going to want to stay straight, so you kind of have to guide it. You have to let it find, there we go, now it's found center, and pinch. And it is going to crimp the living heck out of it. I mean, it really bites. So now, all that lithium is rubbed off. So you kind of need to give it another helping hand with that lithium and pull this back into place. But now you can see, all right, boom, and there it is. Wipe that off, and it's done. So let me finish the rest of these, and then we'll do the coil wire, put them back on, and we're on our way. Coil wire is the last thing on the ignition system, other than a vacuum line on the carburetor. But there you go. Everything's in. I need to tighten that coil up and see if it's loosened up. But there's all the ignition wires. All the ignition wires. I went with black because I wanted it to just disappear into the background, and you'll see why in a minute. But those of you that have been patient enough and waited for me this long, and then if you tuned in this long into this episode, I've got a special treat for you. We're going to reveal Christine's attitude. You've been seeing those Edelbrock aluminum valve covers. Those are my old valve covers. I got some new ones. Wait till you see this attitude I'm about to throw on this small block. Let's take a look at these new valve covers. These valve covers are from Billet Specialties, and I know I've told you guys throughout this build that there will be no billet on Christine. Well, I don't mind it if it's done right. I don't want any 1980s, 1990s looking billet. Check this out. This is amazing. Script valve covers. Chevrolet script valve covers. Painted matte black. Oh my. And they're aluminum. They're the short style, but they've got the Chevrolet engraving on it. So you know how they used to have the embossing, the stamping in the factory valve covers. Well, this they mimicked it with this engraving. This just looks incredibly amazing. So I've got two of these, and then I need to find. I remember buying the vent. I remember buying those. I just need to find them. So we're going to put these on. The next thing I want to show you too are my valve cover gaskets. Now, what's special about a valve cover gasket? We all know these first generation small blocks leak. These are silicone with a metal reinforcement. These are from Speedway Motors. I'm going to give this a whirl. This ought to be a heck of a lot more effective than a cork gasket. So we're hopeful that for these, on these aluminum valve covers, which are very stiff, that's going to stop it from leaking. It's not going to have any valve cover leaks. Fingers crossed. It's the curse of the first generation small block. All right. Before we throw them on, we got to put these baffles on. These come loose. They're shipped loose. They're in the case. So they give you these self-tapping screws. Watch this come to life. watch this come to life. Just, you're gonna get the attitude. Oh my goodness. One of the things that I've noticed about this valve cover, you see it's extra thick right here. It's got like where you used to have the chrome spreaders. It's got a spreader built in. Is that not amazing? Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh man, that looks incredible. Oh boy. What else? I've got ARP bolts. I've got ARP valve cover bolts. So these have the small head, a little tiny head. I want to say it's a 5/16 head, but it's meant so you can get in here and it'll hit just right. It'll sit. So, and it's got little flat washers too. So let me go ahead and put these on. I'll get the other one in just a second. Last one. All right, let's do the other side, passenger side. Golly, that looks beautiful. That looks awesome. Wait, let's see what I'm gonna do with the battery. I got a bunch of little tricks I'm following through on. Finish tightening down the passenger side. We'll put the breathers on, and then we'll step back, and that's going to be it for this video. And we'll talk about what we're going to do next, which is what's coming up. So let's talk about this a little bit. So what's coming up next is as soon as I shut this camera down, I'm gonna go catch my breath a little bit because I'm exhausted. I've been working at this for days, and I'm going to we're gonna try to get this rocket we're gonna try to get this rocket lit. There we go. All right, that's a little too imposing for me. Kind of blocks, but I don't like that as much. But I do love the valve covers. So I might try to find something better than that. We'll see. We'll see. All right. So what's coming up next? I'm gonna catch my breath. I'm gonna go inside, and then I've got a brand new Holly I'm gonna unbox. We're gonna put it on. I got the fuel line we're gonna run. The little dual feed line, we'll run that. I'll put fuel in it. I'll pump some fuel through the system. I need to put my battery in. I haven't really checked the electrical since I took the battery out when I first put the electrical system in. So I need to put fluids in it, oil filter, oil, coolant, turn the key, light her up. Looking forward to it, but we'll see you next time. Do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, if you enjoy my channel, I'd love a subscription. So I'll see you in just a few moments. Take care of yourself. Cheers.